All right, so let's cover part one first. How to design a game with production in mind. So you as a small publisher, crowdfunding publisher, will be able to take that into account and consider it when you design the game. And that is, what is the difference between a large publisher and a small publisher from a manufacturing point of view? Like you were thinking, it's also a little correct. I would consider, as a manufacturer, I would consider a large publisher someone who prints from the same game anywhere between like 20 to 50,000 sets of the same game every year over a span of like 3 to 5 years until that game kind of runs out of juice. A crowdfunding publisher, the smaller, more indie crowdfunding creators, and they will print anywhere between like 500 and 5,000 sets. That I would consider more or less a small publisher. And the main reason is because once we print this game, 90% chances that we will not print it again. While the large publisher, we can print his game multiple times in a year over a span of a few years. Why does quantity actually matters? When I approach to calculate a price for a game, I look at three things. The first thing is what we call overhead cost or operation costs. So basically, these are the fixed costs of having workers, having machines, paying electricity, and they're more or less divided between the number of orders we have in a certain month and how many components we have. Obviously, large publishers for that, as a value order is a lot larger. That overhead cost is significantly smaller. The second part that I'm looking at is always the material and wastage cost. And that is all about, okay, how much does the material cost? Which, if I tell you a secret, the price is more or less the same between large and small publishers. And then the wastage cost is when we try to print something, every time we want to print with offset, we waste around 300 sheets of paper. So if we want to print 1,000 sets, we need to actually buy 1,300 sheets and then, have 300 sheets for waste. So that's the material and the wastage cost. Lastly, we have the setup fees and the process costs. But with the later two, with the material and wastage, as well as the setup and process cost, if we had a way to lower that cost for smaller publishers, that will be massive savings. Because if to print something costs, let's say, setup fee around $200 or $250, you divide that by 1,000, that's like 20 cents extra for the game. So that's how the prices inflate a lot. Setting up the process, every time you set up the process costs you $100, $200. Every time you make a cutting mold, it costs you extra money. So we need to find a way to avoid that and to lower the amount of wastage and to lower the amount of material we use in order to make sure your game is produced in the lowest price possible with the highest quality and speed possible as well. And that's where standardization comes into the picture. And I want to show you actually, what is standardization? What does it mean? And the beauty behind it. The first thing we need to understand about standardization is we want to match the ultimate size paper with the ultimate size machine to utilize as much as possible the setup fees that we have. Because whenever you make a piece, you will have a setup fee. And we want to make sure we utilize this fees that we pay as much as possible. And the first thing that we want to do is we want to look at the paper. When we go to the paper mill to buy paper, we can basically buy two sizes paper. This means chuan-chang-kai, meaning the whole sheet is open, meaning no cut or anything. When we buy this paper, we then move it through a cutting machine and we can cut it into two, meaning we will have, if I'm looking at the black one, we will have 590 millimeters on 882 millimeters. Or we can cut it into three, we can cut it into four, we can cut it into five, which wastes a lot of paper, as you can see. We cut it into 6, 8, 9, 12, whatever number you want. And that is the concept of having the standard size sheet. Now, we know what is a standard size sheet, what we can utilize the most. Now we need to cross-reference it with the size of the machines we can use. This way we maximize both. And this is the first thing I've done when I've opened Hero Time. It took me a while to grasp it, but when it dawned on me, I went full steam ahead to really fix everything up from the production side all the way to the creator assistant side, helping creators understand this as they're designing their games. But yeah, we need to take the page size and cross-reference it with a machine size in order to get the ideal sizes. In machines, we have three sizes. We have a size that is called the Bakai, the 8 opening size, which prints on 295 on 440 millimeters. Then we have the 4 opening, which is 440 on 590. And lastly, we have the 2 openings. We have both of them 540 on 780 and 590 on 882 millimeters. So we have these three size machines or setups, processes. We have the small, we have the medium, and we have the large. How does it translate into your components? So if you go on the website, on the Hero Time website, this took me a while and it's not perfect, but when I first built it, I calculated all the sizes with all the machines and said, what is the ideal box for small creators? And this ideal size for box creators both containing components, as well as not wasting too much paper or setup fees of machines. So you have over here like a bunch of components, the main printing components. You have like the boxes, a board, individual player board, you have the playing card token sheets. Then you also have a bunch of other source components that you can use as well for reference. But this is a price simulator. So I aggregated most of the information. What is the worst case scenario that you will have, so you will be able to plan and design your game with the right sizes in mind. So let's look, for example, at the box. If you go into the box, you will have over here sizes, and these are the best sizes fitting to the best sheet, and it will give you the exact size for 500 sets, 1,000 sets, all the way up to 3,000 sets. So this is, for example, for the box, and you can really check what are the prices that will be for each one of these pieces in products. So this is for the box. We have the same concept also for the board. You just need to see these standard sizes. Okay, these are the ultimate sizes. After doing over 50, 60 different games, these are the ideal sizes for you to work accordingly. Individual player boards, they're also very important. Everybody uses them. You can choose a size, and you can buy it per pack, because the 8 opening sheet can actually hold 6 of this player board. Okay, so you want to design your player board in the best way possible. If you do this player board, the 20 and 14 centimeters, you will only have 4 per sheet. Okay, and that's how you want to design your game. You want to design it where you maximize the space of the sheet while utilizing as much as possible the setup fee of whatever it is that you want to make. The most important sheet sizes that you can use for your game and use it for reference, and these are the sizes of sheets that every designer should know, because they match the machines as best as possible with no wastes, and really utilize the whole space of the machines, making sure that, you know, those $200 you paid for the machine, you really got your money's worth on every account. These are the 8 opening sheets, the 295 and 440. And let me give you an example. Token sheets. Everybody loves token sheets, and most people will do a token sheet that is 290 on 290. But the machine that uses to print it and code it operates on this size. So they use this paper. The paper doesn't have any waste, but the machine and the processes they used, they did not utilize a whole setup fee of those. Okay, so if you do your token sheets as 210 millimeters on 280 millimeters or 290 millimeters, then you can fit 2 token sheets into one of these 8 openings. So you maximize paper and you maximize the setup. Same example and the same idea also goes with the 4 openings. The second most popular, most standard sheet size is a 4 opening large, and that's a 440 on 590. Obviously, you don't want to fill it up all the way because you need some space for the machines to hold the paper while it pushes. So like it'll be 420 on 570. That will be the second most popular print, and this will be for like foldable game boards, some medium-sized boxes, maybe rule books, you know, a medium-sized rule book, and so forth and so on. So we use this paper like all the time. And then we have the next sheet, and this is the third sheet, is 540 on 780. And this still fits in the printing machine of the 4, but we use this for cards. Okay, so this is a maximum size sheet that we dare to print cards on. It uses the medium-sized machine for it, which their colors are the best in this regard, and it can hold like 65 poker cards. And the last sheet we use is a 590 on 882, and that is usually for very, very large game boxes, so like 285 on 60 or so. We also use this sheet size for rule books. If we want to use a rule book, large rule books, 201 and 280, 210 and 280, we will also be using this 590 and 882 sheet. So again, we have 4 ideal sheets that you should use in your game design or think about and consider. It's a 295 on 440, the 440 on 590, 540 on 780, and 590 on 882. And these are the 4 sizes you want to consider. These standard sizes that of all the components I've showed you don't only help with the price, but they also help with the lead time, because we already have the cutting molds and we already know these boxes. We don't need to always figure out, okay, we need to add here 2 millimeters, we need to add over there 2 millimeters. In production, we need to be as precise as possible. So the main idea behind the standardization is not only to lower your costs, but it's also to make sure the product comes out perfect. Why large game publishers have amazing and beautiful, gorgeous looking games with no issues? Because the factory simply made those games over and over and over and over again. So if we use the standard components and we simply, made the same exact component multiple times, we don't need to change the machines. We don't need to, move them a little bit here, a little bit there to match exactly whatever you need. It becomes easy and it becomes fast. You can get a game for 30 days production lead time, and it becomes accurate, and accuracy is also high quality. So that's why the standardization is so crucial and important. I also want you to check the cards to see how many cards fit per sheet, and you will have a slight surprise over there.